So in the last class, we discussed about the velocity actions, but due to some reason it was not showing. So I checked that. So let me actually show you that account. So that is maybe possible in when you install the CMT in your org, and maybe that this will not show for you as well. So what we need to do is we need to go to the account page, edit the layout. Okay, and when we do the edit layout, we need to use we need to click a section, and in that section we need to drag the VF page. You need to go to the VF pages, and there you need to search for this uh, account action toolbar. Okay, so this is the VF page. You just need to drag it. Also adjust the width of this panel, like one column I have set and detail and edit, these two things I have given. So once you do that, you will see in the classic there is a panel which showing some actions, right? So those actions actually we can use. We can just click on this account search, and you will see it will take us to a different page where the script that we have created is now showing here. So those are the steps that we need to follow. Same goes for lightning as well. If we switch to lightning environment, same thing we will show there as well. Okay, if you click here, it will take you to that Omni script. All right. Yeah, let's discuss the new topic today, which is first we will discuss about the edit blocks, and then we will discuss how we can make how we can make a HTTP call out to the external system. Okay, these two things we will cover today. We'll also talk about the assignments. If you have any questions, we can discuss those topics. So let's go. Mm, So this is the data raptor, which actually search all the accounts. So what I'm actually configuring here, let's make some changes in the data raptor so that it will also fetch the list of contacts associated with that account. Okay, so that we can use that contact in a edit block and see how we can edit them. Let's contact the external path. Let's make it contact. Filter, we can add account ID equal to those things. I think I already discussed. We need to use this and then ID. So this will be the name of the external path of your parent object name, right? Here you can use the lookup ID is equal to that, right? Let's quickly add couple of fields and then we can verify our logic, right? So for that, let me add another node, which will be contact, and then we can write name, sorry, first name, last name. Same thing here, right? It is creating a different node. That's good. Let's add the fields as well. First name, last name. Let's also add couple of email and address fields. Yeah, ID we also need. Let's quickly add this. Yeah, that's it. Phone. Okay. So a couple of fields we have taken from the contact object, nothing related. I mean, those are the individual fields. Let's do and cross verify the mapping. So let's search execute. So we have a node for account, but nothing for contact. So contact account ID is equal to account.id. No formula output. We have given contact here. Let's quickly check if this.
I think we used a small ID. I mean, contact account small ID we kept. So it's
Oh,
case sensitive.
let's take a preview now. Yeah, you're right. We have added that mistake. So now it is working. So like I was saying in the JSON, if it is a list, then you will see this curly bracket, right? And all the data will be returned inside that only, right? So let's do one thing. Let's go to the Omni script and configure those things, right? Let's first check the flow, how the page is looking. Right here you will see all those things. So on the same page, let's add the list of all contacts and see how we can view that. So for that, we need to click here and click on the groups. Here you will see edit block, right? Just yeah, here we can remove those things. And here we can add the edit block. Okay. And the name of the edit block needs to be the name of your parent node. So in our case, the parent node name is contact. So let's name it contact. Here you can use anything in the label. Let's say all contacts. The name by default you will see all checkbox as checked, so let's keep the default settings, but just in case if you don't want any of those abilities like delete or edit, you can uncheck it, right? You can also uncheck all of them, then user will be seeing this as a read only, right? Let's do one thing. Let's first configure the fields and directly see how it is showing in the UI, and then we will do the further settings. To go to the input, and then we need to check the text. Okay. Yeah. Let's clone it. We have four fields. Okay, one is the phone, or let's first display the first name here, last name, then we can use phone, and lastly we can add ID. Okay, so phone is already in use somewhere, so that's why it is showing like this. So let's make this phone as 2, or we can also go here and change this to contact phone. Okay. Oh, I think I did it wrongly. Go there. So if generally if this type of issues happen, we will only change the thing that we are adding. So now it is contact phone, right? So let's go there and change the definition. Make it contact form. Okay, and check those checkbox. We want to see all three. And for ID, like I think I already discussed, ID is required because we want to do the DML operations, and in Salesforce we have to use the ID field as an identifier, right? So that's why I'm keeping ID here as well. Let's also change the name here to contact ID. In generally, whenever we discuss in work in a tree, we append something. Like if it is an account, we use AC. If it is a contact, we use CO. So in that case, it will be a differentiation between both of the objects, right? So generally, you will not feel this type of exceptions. Okay. Now, yeah, let's first take a preview and see how the data is showing. Okay, so you can see the data is working fine and it is showing. And when we click on edit, we will see all four fields, but we don't want to see this ID. So what we need to do is we need to click on edit block, open this JSON path, search for ID. Actually, let me zoom out. We need to click here, and I think then we need to edit it. Then you will see the hide, right? This we need to make it true. Okay, so the field that you want to hide, you need to click on that field and click on the edit property. Then you will see this option, right? So this option is not available in the UI. That we can only do when we edit it as a JSON, right? Not just this option, there are other options as well. You can see all of them are listed here, and you can change those things directly from the properties, right? And now if we go and check it again, you will see the ID field will not list it. But why we keep ID? Because this ID we will use as a identifier, and we will use it in a Salesforce so that Salesforce can actually use it, right? That is stating. Okay. So this is whatever we have done up to this step we already discussed in the last previous classes, right? Now the next step that we will do is the configuration of edit block. So see, this edit block is used to display. I mean, it generally we add this edit block when we need to do these things. First, we need to display the data in a list view. Second, we want to give option whether user can create, delete, or edit record, right? But there's one more thing actually. It is not only restricted that you can only use those edit, create, and sorry, new, edit, and delete options also, right? Let's say in a button click, let's take a preview and then discuss. Let's say here there are two options you are seeing, right? Edit and delete. But instead of edit and delete, you want to make a API call. Like when you click on it, instead of editing it, you want to make a different API call. So those things we can also configure. Instead of delete, we can make a API call. So we can also do this type of changes as well. We need to let's discuss what are the changes we need to do in terms of customizing those options. First of all, the identifier of a new, like mean whatever you function you're firing or whatever concept you're writing, the identifier of this new is this label. Right? If here you write new, it will also be available for users to view. Also, this name will be the identifier of your this button. That means uh, whatever custom logic that we will follow, that we will trigger in that custom logic, we will refer this name. Okay, so if we want to change it to let's say update, let's say there is a field called email, or let's say this email code. Let's say this is the functionality we want to enable. When we click on the here, there will be a functionality which calls email code, right? So this thing we want to configure. In that case, we need to name it as email code. Okay, there what we will do is, instead of firing the default edit logic, we can override this and we can call our custom class apex class to handle this thing as well, right? So in that case, the label name will be the identifier that this particular button is clicked, right? Because there are three buttons. So how Salesforce will know which button is clicked is based on the label name. Okay. Next thing is that you need to do, since we are now dealing with the DML operation, similar ways to data raptor, where we are actually binding the fields, we also need to do the bindings, right? So there, how the bindings will work is you need to click on this S object mapping, right? Here you need to first add, this is the second step actually. First step is to display the fields and enable what table actions you want to use, right? Row level actions you want to use. The second step is to define the object name. Here we have inside the contact. So we need to select the contact object, right? Now actually we are doing the mapping. Is all the field that we are actually showing into this block, we need to display all those fields here as well. We need to map those fields. This part, the left part will show all the fields that are available in your OmniScript inside this edit block, right? So we don't need to give the full path. So if it is a contact ID, we just need to bind it into the ID. Okay, let's quickly do for other fields also. First name needs to be the first name. And whenever you do the mapping, there is a chance that we do human errors. That means first name we probably bind it to some other fields, last name or something. In that case, velocity will never stop you to do this, right? Whatever mapping you will do, it will work only, it will work on that only, right? So make sure you are properly mapping those fields. So this is something, because in general we only have 4 fields here, but in general when we do this, there may be 10 to 15 fields. In that case, the mapping needs to be the 101 match, whatever field you want to map with. And here it's phone. So let's map it to phone. Now, whatever we have done is the in second step, we have configured the object and its mapping. Now up to here it is same. But see, whenever we do a edit or DML operation, we need a unique identifier, right? So we need to check this checkbox to say Salesforce, hey, this is the unique identity that I will assure you. Once you do this, it will only give you one record. That is basically the expectation here. That is Velocity is asking you to do. But they also give you an option where you can add multiple duplicate keys, like you can also use this. So in the backend, what query that Velocity is making, basically it was using select all those fields from contact object where contact ID is this, last name is this, but there is no limit condition. That means if your query is returning more than one record, the Salesforce, I mean, they will update only one record because they are using zeroth index. Getting it? So in backend, you will not be sure which record got updated. Okay, so that means we need to take an extra care here. If apart from ID, if we have a dependency on any external system or any external key, we need to first make sure that the data of that external key is only one record, or we need a permutation and combination to make sure that only that one record get returned. Then only this logic will properly work. Otherwise, what you will see, let's say if I remove this from ID and make it first field, in that case, if there are 10 contact found, it will update only one, and which one it will update, it's not something that we can control, right? So let's remove it. Yeah, so that is about it. There is also something called HTML template ID. Let's discuss about this. What we where we use this HTTP HTML template ID basically. So here, if you look, the let's go at this point. So here, if you check the basic design of this table is very, you can say basics, right? There's no border, there's no color into the header, and it is very basics design, right? There's no, we haven't enforced any custom CSS inside it, right? So the first use of this HTML template is to provide the custom style. Right, you need to go to the HTML part and you have to use CSS part where you need to actually override the styles. Firstly, how we will do is we use inspect element. Right, we use this inspect element, and based on that we do the customization. Or actually there is a different team in most of the project. There is a different team for designers which will give you the entire design. You just need to use the design into the CSS part, then it will automatically taken care of. The other thing is, instead of C, we have only two row level actions given here, right? But we want to, just in case we want to use more than two, okay, then there's also possibility that you will probably not do with the help of edit block, right? But up to some instance, you can use HTML template to extend this functionality with the help of custom JavaScript code, it will give the access. We'll discuss about it when we actually talk about HTML template ID. There's a default ID is also given. We'll refer those things as well, right? We'll check how to apply those things and how to create this. But in general, being a Salesforce developer, for us, it is difficult to work on HTML template ID because it requires a good understanding of JSON. Sorry, JavaScript, jQuery basically. So yeah. So here what we have done, we have checked this checkbox here. Let's take a preview now. If I go here and edit it, save button is not showing. Right, that's a save and cancel actually. So if I hit the save button, right, you will see this value is updated here, but when we clear the data, do the next, you will see it is not committing that back to the Salesforce backend server. It is just updating on the UI front end UI, not in the backend. So let's see how we can actually make it functional, how we can actually call a backend server call when we do it. So the capability of this edit block is you actually doesn't require to call any data raptor or anything. That is a good part, but here you need to actually make a server call. And how we can make a server call? With the help of remote actions, right? So let's drag remote action here and make sure previously when we discuss about this remote action, we drag it any place, right? We have drag it last here, but here we need to make sure we are only dragging the remote action under this edit block, right? So since remote action, like I was saying, remote action can only fire one method, right? Since we have three buttons, so we need three remote actions. Okay. And how to make sure, like when you clicking on when you are actually clicking on new, then only new method will fire is the label name. You need to make sure you go here inside the label name, you use the same name that you want to fire in terms of edit, but in terms of new functionality. In terms of edit, you need to copy this name, go there and name the same remote action it. So whatever functionality you want to fire, you need to name it same in the remote action. Then only it will pick, okay, this particular button is hit it. Because there are three buttons, so how remote action will be taken care of, which button is clicked, is something this binding. Table name you can give anything, but yeah, the element name needs to be the 101 match here. right? When we discuss remote action, we talk about this remote class and remote method. Same thing we also need to configure here as well. So in Velocity, they already created one Apex class for us. Okay, we can't see this Apex class because it's a part of the package, but they have already created the class. They also provide us how to call a method. This is the similar way than how we actually call a method inside when we actually calculate the age, right? Age category and age. This is the same way they are also calling. That means if you have your own custom functionality, like when you are actually that means when you click on new, let's say you're creating new record and you want to click on new button, and you simply you don't want to create a contact, but you also want to create with the when you actually create a contact, you also want to update something back to account. Okay, this is the custom method you want to write. In that case, you don't need to call this custom class. You have to use your own Apex class, and the method and the behavior will be the same how we actually use the age calculator class. Okay, getting it right? What I'm trying to say here, we are actually going to call the default class, which they have created for us, right? We will use the default class name, and here we need to use new. The method name is new and all is in a small letter. Same goes for edit. We need to go here and write edit. And for the uh, say for the delete also, we need to go here and write delete. Let me remove that. Yeah. So this way, when we actually go and edit, it will work. But let's say we don't want this default functionality, because class, what this class basically does, it will simply read the data, whatever you are filling, and insert the record, right? That is what it is doing. But let's say we want to create our own custom logic, which actually also where we want to create a record. Also, we need to update the contact. Okay, there's a sorry account. Okay, we are inserting, when we insert a contact, we also want to update the account. Okay, in that case, we can't use this class. We need to use our own custom method. So the behavior and how we will create a class is very similar how we work on this age calculator class. Maybe you can use the same age calculator class, and the method you can write your own custom method. Okay, that's what I want to say. So in edit block, there's no restriction that you can only call the default class. You can also call your custom class, but for our ease of use, Velocity already created a class for us, right? So let's do the preview and check whether it is working or not. Let me clear the data. Okay, now just go and edit the name. Let's say 1234. Let's click on save button. Now just check. We have clicked on save button. Previously, it worked instantly. The moment we click on save, it will simply close that pop-up and display into the UI. But now it took some time to load the this screen. Why? Because in the backend it is doing some action, right? So let's go and clear the data and see whether this name got updated or not. See, the data is updated. Same thing you can do for delete, and same thing you can do for the new. So see, here the name is called this. Why? Because I think we have changed the name to something else. Remote action, the name is new. It is calling remote 2. Let's clear the data and see. Okay, so I think there's again some org issue because here we have given the new as a name. Okay, it's not because of that. It's because here we have given hot2, right? So you can actually change the name of those row level actions also. Those names will be controlled from the label, right? Same thing here as well. We have changed something there and I have again updated the name to new. So now it will show as new. If I change the name here to new create contact, so it will now show as a create contact. Okay, now if I click here and let's use something, my test 1 2, my test last name will be 123. Let's write some phone number and save it. The time of edit and creation, all the validation will also get enforced here, right? So if something is required and we are not giving the value, it will throw the exception. So let's say now observe, we have clicked on the same button, but it is taking some time, right? Why it took that much? Because it is doing a server call. Let's click on contacts. There's no contact. Just a second. We test 1 2 3. After this class, what we will do, we will switch to lightning environment and then we'll see. Because in lightning, there's no issue of this scroller or something, right?
I think we are checking in account record. Need to check in contact,
Oh,
I think.
right. Thanks. Here we will see the updated contact is created, right? So this way, let's also do one thing. Let's go back and create a record without last name because in the contact, last name is required field. Let's go and save it. So you will see this exception. Okay. Missing field last name. Similar ways, if you add your own custom exceptions here, I mean in the record, if you go to the contact validations, if you add validation rules, so all those validation will also work here, right? Even if you this is something which velocity UI, but all the validations will be shown here. Also, the trigger validations like add error, that message will also be shown here as well. And if we try to delete a record and that record is having some dependency with any other record, maybe it is using any master detail or it has some lookup relation that is stopping it to delete. So all those validation you will see in the UI, right? So they will also enforce the same thing here as well because it is working on the top of it, right? Now let's discuss this. Inside this window, let's say since it's how many now let's talk about some interview questions. What will happen if we want to display 10 fields? Does it support 10 fields? The answer is no. Here we can only display 5 fields. Okay, first name, last name, phone, and 2 more fields we can display into this window. And if we need to display more information, then we need to give user to click on this edit and open this into the pop-up and then view it. Okay. The next question is, does edit block also provide functionality where we actually want to create more than three row level actions? Sorry, row level actions. The answer is no. Edit block can only work up to two row level actions. But if we have, let's say, want to display more than two row level actions, then we need to use the custom functionality. We cannot use this uh, edit block. Okay, we'll in the further classes we'll show you how we can create a table without edit block. Okay, for that you need to use the OmniScript. Okay, inside OmniScript you need to create a table element and then you can use it, and there you need to actually use so much HTML template ID, because you need to depend on the native stylings, right? In that case you need to do that, but in most of the cases what will happen, we just pass the list here. Okay, we will discuss in the next class maybe. What I will do is I will but in the backend what I'm saying here, we have passed the context, which is the actual record, right? There we have casted this into different fields. But if we use that second approach, we will only use this context and the rest we will handle into the HTML template. Okay, so that exercise probably we will do tomorrow, where we will discuss about HTML template IDs, right? There we will only use this, and rest we will go and use the table responses, right? So yes, there is a limitation of edit block. It used to make our life easy, but it will only do some limited operations, right? For if there is something requirement where we actually need to use so much customization, then we will not use the edit block. Okay, the time of when a new requirement come into the project, then we need to first ask whether in the future what is the chances of updation of it, right? If they are saying no, we only want new and edit functionality, maybe they want to do something updation that we can also handle. Let's say the thing I was saying, maybe when you are creating an account contact, you also want to update something on account. Those things we can do. But apart from edit, delete and new, if they want something else, then we can't use this edit block, right? We need to depend on the native OmniScript elements, and you need to use the HTML ID. This will be more time consuming, and also the chances of errors and all will get increased, because now this is something that humans as a human is going to handle, right? This is not something that a draggable action that Velocity created for us, right? Yeah. Now this is about the OmniScripts, and this is about the normal classes. Now let's talk about integration procedures. The need of integration procedures come into the picture when we use this thing. Let me actually switch to the class Lightning and then wait. It is whenever we actually go and fire any backend actions more than one time, we always see a lag. Even if you work on a native Visual Force or a LWC or Lightning UI, or in a Velocity or any third-party UI. Okay. So to avoid and to make a good performance, what we did is Velocity basically did is they created a backend element which is called integration procedure. So in front end, we are actually calling in front end we are doing multiple actions, but in the back end, Velocity is taken care of those all actions and making only one server call and returning the response to us, right? In that way, what will happen, the making a different calls and waiting for its response, that time is reduced and we get a good performance. Let me show you what I mean. This is the reason I don't prefer to use Lightning, because if I compare this with Classic, it took so much time. Yeah, now here it is working fine. All the buttons are showing. But see, here in this script, in this page, we have only enabled Lightning for our UI, right? Not in the Omni script. That make sure. We will discuss how we can use this enable LWC option and how the behavior will be get changed. Now see, this is the problem I was saying. Here we are making three server call. One is for you loading the data. Second is to do the remote action, and third is to send the email. So three times we are hitting the server, but we have an option where we can actually restrict to one. So we always, whenever we talk about integration procedure, it's not just that we are only calling a third party and interacting with the third party. It is also to optimize your OmniScript performance, right? So whenever you feel that there is more than two actions you are sequentially using, then don't use it into the OmniScript. Use it into the integrations. Okay? We'll show you how we can do that. Open this here. Mm, I think they renamed the tab. Velocity actions, attributes, cards. Yeah, integration procedure. This is the name of the tab. So you will find this name into the tab settings. This is the integration procedures. OmniScript, actually, they have renamed this to OmniScript now. So what if let me actually create one. Okay, so here let's talk about the differences and open both OmniScript and the integration procedures side by side. Also open OmniScripts. Yeah, here you will see there are display, function, group, input, OmniScript, those many options here. But in integration procedures, there are only two options, grouping and actions. Why it is so? Because integration procedure are the backend elements. We cannot add any front-end element here. Like here we can use inputs, here we can use functions, display, all those things. Basically UI be configured through OmniScript, but all those backend actions like making an email, remote actions, calling a data raptor, those things only we can do in the into the integration procedures here, right? So that means if we want to fire email, we just need to drag this element here. If we want to fire a data raptor, we just need to add a data raptor extractor. Right now, if I talk about this scenario, let's talk about this. Let's say we want to get the name of no, let's say we want to get the phone here, right? So the phone is let me actually show you the JSON and then it will be clear what I mean by and what I want to say. Let's say this. Okay, now I want to access the value of the phone. So in that case, I need to go to the phone, then block to, then account, right? Why? Because we have a UI elements. We have a UI element block, we have a UI element account, right? But since in integration procedure, we don't have any UI element, that means if I drag email action here, After saving, yeah, we need to first save it. That is also the difference basically. Why this is difference we'll discuss in next class. Basically it require ID before if there's no ID we can't make any changes into the data raptor. Okay, or anything, not just data raptor, we can't add any element into the integration procedure if we not hit the save button, because it required a additional ID which is record ID, right? Here, if you check the difference, we don't have any parent node. There's no node structure. That means all the individual elements that we are using here, it will be governed by this email element name, right? We will discuss about it when we actually replace all those three with one element, and then we'll discuss about why I'm saying that there's no parent governor thing here. Okay, but yeah, that's something that I want to tell you. Now let's delete this and let's use HTTP callouts. Think we need to again. Yeah, here HTTP actions. Let's drag it. So what we will do now is we will call a external system. Okay, it is a nothing but a weather API. Okay, and then we will see how we can actually make a GET request where the data is already exist. We want to retrieve some information, right? How we can do that with the help of integration procedures. Before this, if you use Apex class, we need to actually write tons of code to get one return request, right? But here it is very easy. So let me first actually show you which API I want to call today. So I will call this weather API. Let's first discuss about this weatherapi.org. What this basically does it has a list of different APIs. Today we will discuss about the weather API, which actually return us the related the weather information of the particulars. Yeah, let's go to the guide. Yeah, I think. Yeah, this current weather data. It will simply give us a URL. We will hit the URL and it will give us the response. In the response, it will show us the temperature, wind speed, and so many information, right? So I have opened, so this is the complete URL. If you want to configure this thing, you need to first create an account inside this website. Then they will give you a application ID. This will be the identifier of your basically this is the same thing how we actually use in normally when we do the integration procedures. We need the application ID so that the external system get aware which user is basically hitting their API, right? That is something you will get the when you actually create an account. I already did that, and the application ID is this. Okay, the next thing is, next parameter that they will ask is the which location you want to use. Okay, so that next location we will give like which city or which country we want to check the data. So that is the parameter that they are asking. And why I selected this is because it when you actually make some any calls, it doesn't require you to fill any credit card or anything, right? Because there is a good amount of requests that we can do in the free pack. Okay, we don't need to set up all those things, but yeah, that's why I like this base website. It is also giving us so much data to explore, and it we will use this only to get understand how the get API will work, right? When we actually make a call, how that will work, we will discuss this. And to do the post, I have a different website where we will discuss how we can do the post things. All right, so let's do one thing. Let's first explore this thing into the Postman, right? So this is the complete URL I have given into the top. It will automatically taken care of two parameters that we are passing. The Q is the name of the location that we want to track, and the app ID is something where we need to pass the application ID. This thing you will get when you create an account, right? When I hit the send, you will see it is returning us this much JSON. So let's copy the response. And check it in JSON viewer. Here you will see there's a temperature information, there's a wind speed, there's a system information when actually sunset is happening and time zone and all those things, right? So simpler ways, let's do configure this thing into integration procedures and discuss about the elements here. Right here, you can actually call a open API, which means which doesn't require any authentication, right? Second is you can also call something which require authentication. In the next class or in the next sessions, we will explore one API which actually require authentication before we hit their URL. Okay, we will also check how we can do those authentications. But in Salesforce, whenever we do such kind of practices, we don't want to hard code any path or any method name here, right? We simply use name credentials. Similar ways, they also give us a option where we can directly go and configure the name credentials. We don't need to always take care about what is the path and what is the method, right? Okay, so today what we will do is we will configure this thing directly. That means we need to first copy the name here. With that much we need to use. Okay, so this will be the path, right? Request will be get. Name credentials we are not using. Let's use REST options. So see, before we go and discuss further steps, let's first talk about what is header, what is params. Let's discuss this. This is a little confusing. So yeah, pay attention on it. So header is something which require the authentication parameters. That means before you actually authenticate yourself, you need to send any token there, right? Payload, you have to send some payload so that this API will give you some authentication. It could be a client secret, it could be combination of username, password, or whatever, depends on the service provider how they are authenticating, right? If your API is not closed, okay, and it require authentication, in that case we need to send those authentication requests into the header. Okay, so let me relate this with Apex, how we do it. First, we need to send a request with the help of this header information. We pass a client secret. Okay, this client secret we will pass into the header. It will go to this third party. They will return us a response, and that response is having the token, right? Session token basically. That session token we will use into the second request where we will use what exactly we want, right? In our case, let's say we want to get the current information related to the weather. In that params, we will send this value, like what is the current location or which city or which country you want to check the params for, you want to check the temperature or something. Getting it? Again, let me repeat. Header is something which requires the authentication. Here you will send the client secret where they will authenticate, where the third party will actually log your request and they will charge you accordingly. Right? Based on that, they will track how much charge they need to do for it. And if your header and everything is valid, they will return you a client secret. Okay, or token basically. That token you will use to request again to that server. This time you are sending the token and all the parameters that require this external system to perform your to fulfill your request, right? And then they will send you a response, and that response you will store into the Salesforce. So for doing this much, we need to write so much code into Apex side. Like we will use one thing to get the session token, and then we will use the section token and then make another request. Once the request come, we will need to deserialize all those things, and we need to also take care if it is a XML. We will discuss about it, right? So those things velocity will automatically taken care of. So here in the params, we need to use this. We need to use Q, and here we need to type any location, right? Let's use London here. Right. Next thing is the ID, which is app ID, right? We need to use, actually it is already there in Postman. Let's use that. Okay. This is the app and this is the value. Let's also copy the full name. Now let's talk about send body. What is this? So see, if we uncheck this option, that means this parameter will be passed with this URL in the header tag. inside the header tag. Okay, getting it? When we actually see this is actually this required a little bit understanding of HTTP requests. So let me actually give you a brief. First of all, we have two tags. One is the header tag where we are basically sending this URL. Okay. Second is the body tag where we actually needs to send the additional parameter. But in HTTP protocol, it's not always required to send all those parameter in body tag. You can send everything into the header tag itself. But why this checkbox we need to check is because in header tag there are two things. One is the maximum characters that a URL supports. This is the first step. Second, it is not very secure because we are also sending the app ID. Getting it? So to make it secure, since it is a web connection between two different servers, we also need to take care about the security. It is preferred to send those parameters in body tag. Okay, it is secure. Also, we can send n number of information here as well. We can send MBs of information into it. Okay, and the next thing is the is compressed. Now let me actually spend some time to describe this check here. In Velocity, I was working in a project where I need to do the OCR. OCR means optical character recognition. That means we have a image, okay, invoice image, and this invoice image is having so much data. Okay, and the image was containing in some this invoice sometimes come in an image format, sometime in a PDF format, sometime in a different format. Basically, it is something which is not in text, and we want to get the text and we need to map this thing into Salesforce objects and insert the record. Okay, the requirement was that. That means we have an invoice copy. They have some different fields. There's amount and different fields, and those fields and those image. Sometimes they send this invoice in an image. Sometimes it is a PDF. Sometimes it is a JPG. Sometimes it is a different format. For for internal Salesforce, there is no option where we can actually read a text, sorry, we read a image and convert the text and store it into the objects. For that, we use external system to do the OCR for us. This is machine learning system, right? But the problem here is when users select the image, it is working fine because image is not having that much data, right? It is in KBs. But when they convert it into PDF and they send multiple invoices into one PDF, the PDF size will sometimes move to 4 MB and 5 MB. At that time, the API, the third party was not able to understand or able to get that much data. Okay, so what they basically does it, they says, hey, you can, the blob that you are sending to us, you can actually compress this blob and we will do additional computation to unzip that blob so that the data that you're transferring from Salesforce to our system will also be secured and also save some size. So this will improve our speed. Okay, so that's why in HTTP protocol, we have an option where we actually encrypt the data before we sending it. The encryption is in work in two options. One is it will compress the data. That means it will use the zipping concept, right? Where we compress the PDF files and then send it to the server, right? So that's why if in your project there's a such requirement, you need to check this checkbox. Okay, but before you check this checkbox, you need to first confirm this with your third party, whatever API you are calling for. Okay, if you check this checkbox and you directly send it, it require additional computation to for that third party to unzip this file and read it. Okay, we only check this checkbox when we work on a huge data. We need to send PDFs, like I was saying, which is having 5 MB information, and we are converting this into blob and then sending it, right? Even we are converting into blob, still the information is so much. Then we need to use the compress option where we actually compress this information and then send back to the server. Okay. Next is the escape XML response. See, let me actually show you one example of escape XML response. There, if your response, if you're dealing with something for XML, okay, and since XML is returning something into the tags, right? There are tags like this XML like this, right? But since those tags sometimes provide sometimes causes some issues. Let me show you. Yeah, those characters basically. those characters. If you read those characters in your Salesforce, you will always get exceptions. Why? Because this may be they not able to understand what is this. So when you check this checkbox, and you will actually when you work on a project, you will get such exception that because of some spatial characters, your XML is corrupted. It is not, we are not able to understand why. Let me give you a scenario. Let's say you are dealing with a you are sending a long text information, long text field, and in the long text area, user use this thing, my value is less than 10. Let's say they write this sentence. In that case, they use this special character. In that case, now XML will expect this as a tag, and they are expecting this to close as also. Okay, but since it's not a tag, it's normal text, then there's no much options available in Apex side. Instead, only replacing this before you send, before you consume, before you convert this into XML, you need to replace this with special characters, right? Same thing Velocity will also do. What it will do is, if you check this checkbox, whatever text you're sending, it all those characters basically, it will convert into escape string into this and read the response. And when it again convert into XML, it will again replace those things with this. Okay, so that is something in the backend. Previously, we handle this thing into the coding, but now they provide us an option where we just need to check this checkbox and Velocity will automatically taken care of it. Okay, stop me if you have any issues or you want some more clarification. That is actually important. And yeah, is it clear?
Yep.
Okay, the next thing is the retry mechanism. See, what is retry is when we actually deal with external system and we are making a commit thing, there are different exceptions may come, and they are basically depends on the iterations we are running. Let's say we are making 100 record update and then we are sending this to another system, but due to some reasons we the server hit their URL, but inside Salesforce we have only committed 20 records. Okay, in that case you will get exception uncommitted work pending. Okay, similar ways others also, if you're making some external call out, maybe there is a CPU timeout happen, maybe the server of there is not able to understand because of so much data. In that case, we want to set a retry. Let's say we want to say if something happened, if there is an exception happened, let's retry again. Okay, maybe most of the issues will, it's my personal experience, most of the issues will automatically resolve if you use the retry. So previously when we work on Apex class, we have to take care and write tons of code actually for making this retry mechanism. But here it is very easy. We just need to write the number 542 whatever it is, right? But in generally we write 3. Okay, sometimes 5 also, but not more than 5. Okay, because if you use more than 5, your system will start lagging, and you will also end up with the governor limits of making the call outs. I'm forgetting the limit. What is that limit name? But yeah, if you, but best practice is you should use 3 retries. But if yeah, we'll discuss about this tomorrow. Oh, because when you use retry, you also need to delete previous data. Let's say in one iteration, your third party is updating something in their database or in Salesforce database, and 100 record they have sent it, but in 100 records 90 got inserted, 10 is having an exception and exception written, and you in Salesforce deal it as a retry. Then it will make a server request again, and then you should actually inform, don't do with anything with successful records, do with this retrace only for the failure records. So this type of configuration we can also do. We will discuss this thing tomorrow, how we can do that, right? But yeah, next thing is this, let's do one thing. Let's close the call at this. In tomorrow, we will discuss about further steps from where we can use the JSON parsing and how we can actually handle the response, which only we need to take care. Because since it's third party, and let me show you, this third party is returning so much JSON, right? Maybe we only want this part, not anything else. So what are the options that the velocity give us, we will check those options tomorrow. Okay, but up to this part, please at least go and drag one HTTP action and actually explore all of them. Okay, just keep an eye, try to run the same script and see how it is working. Okay, this is important to understand all those things, because in live projects definitely you will use it. None, most of the customers are using integration procedures only in Velocity, because it is that simple. Integration procedures and some of the key features, this will actually save so much time for us. We actually, if we try to write a code, we actually need to end up so much testing and so much cost involved into it, right? There it is very simple, we just need to configure it well and it will work fine. Okay, now I stop, pause for any questions. Okay, no questions. We'll connect tomorrow. Let me ping this name of the website. Okay, please go and check this website. Okay, create account, get a app ID, and try to explode it. Use Postman and hit their URL and see how data they are returning. And in the next class, we will consume this data and use it into Salesforce. Okay. We will also talk about the preview options. How the preview is different from the normal OmniScripts and data raptors. All right, thanks. Let's meet tomorrow.
Uh, I think I have another question here. Right
Mhm.
now, we talk about integration procedure. That is something like a backend, right? OmniScript something is a UI right now. So,
Right,
what are the response that we are getting as after doing the call out has to render on the UI. For that,
correct.
yeah, just do the call out. We are using IP integration procedure to show the
Mhm.
data back to the user. We are using the OmniScript. The concept remains
Correct.
same here. I think
Right, right.
OmniScript. Sorry, IP won't help us to show anything on UI.
Correct, correct. That's
Then,
why there's no option to display anything here. There's only
I,
group and action.
yeah, okay, okay, that's true. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. We need to actually in OmniScript, you will get an option where you can call the integrations. Here you will see option integration procedure actions, right? There,
okay,
instead of writing all those three, we just need to drag it here, and whatever return type that it will show, we will need to return the same thing back to the OmniScript. And there
okay,
we will show user the information. In most of the time, whenever we deal with the HTTP request, we make it async. That means it will do the backend job. But if it is not doing a backend job, users are waiting for it, then yeah, we need to handle it in that way. And we also need to tell user a pop-up that your request is in the process, please hold.
okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Yeah,
Then I think can we discuss the assignment topic if
yeah, okay.
possible?
Hmm.
Yeah. So there, a couple of things asked to do. One is like show the account search on the community.
Hmm.
Then one more option, one more assignment was like show the account detail on
Hmm.
the community page.
Right.
So like I'm just wondering like how we can expose the the OmniScript on a community for showing the account detail information. First thing like we need to pass the account ID as a parameter.
Hmm.
So what I observed like on OmniScript, we have how to surface the OmniScript. We have a button there. There it gives the three options. Something like if we go through the OmniScript, I can show you,
Yeah,
or I
okay.
can share my. Okay, I think yeah, yeah. Then here, if you go to the OmniScript, if we after activating it, we are getting an option to show you like how to surface. If we
Yeah,
see
right, right.
yeah,
Deactivated.
how to launch activated scripts.
Yeah.
Yeah, one okay. Okay. Yeah. One thing what I saw like here, if you see, there is an option for us to pass the parameter. So like if I'm using the account ID as a input parameter on my record detail OmniScript, then I can pass that as the parameter here.
Hmm.
Then that's one option. I learned how to pass the parameter to a OmniScript. But when I am trying to do that, what I saw like it is asking for a license. So if I try to use this URL inside the community, then it's saying you don't have a active license to, see it. Some sort of a message I got.
Right, right. So actually, this velocity package is actually for if you need to use the community as a admin user, not as a community user. If you use it as a community user, you need to give the license. But in this org, we only have one or two license, I think. So what I
Yeah,
prefer is just use the community as your admin user.
yeah, then it worked actually. There it
Yeah,
worked.
then it will work. If it is not, then we need to give the permission sets where
Hmm?
the this velocity permission is required. In that case, we need the additional licenses for it.
Exactly. Permission set won't help, I think, because without license we
Right,
can't.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how we basically do is we create permission sets for adding the users actually, and in
Mm,
that permission set, we consider those are the users which is having the velocity access.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we maintain it
Same
like
thing.
that only.
Yeah, same thing I did here. I created a permission set and assigned that permission set to the list of community users. So I
Mm-hmm.
created a community user. For that user, I assigned the permission set. Thereafter,
Yeah.
after doing that, I'm able to see the OmniScript component on the community.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe at the end of the course, what I will do, I will show you the sandbox. Okay. Where I will show you how the permission and everything get assigned.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
because in this org we only have one license, and I don't think we can able to give that to community user because for admin it will not work then.
Exactly. Yeah. Then see here, in order to show the record detail information, how I tried like I just override the view button on the
Hmm.
record detail. So on the view button, on clicking on that, I what I did like I invoked the Visual Force page,
Hmm.
and on that Visual Force page on the load function, I hard coded this URL. On that URL I pass the account ID as a parameter. As a result, the OmniScript receives the respective account ID. Then it try to load all the respective information associated to that account. That's how I solved. I'm not sure is that the best practice, or that's how it should be.
Yeah, that is one option. We also have other options. Let's do one thing. Let me schedule a one call for assignments only.
Yeah,
Maybe we can discuss all those things there only, right?
yeah, sure,
But
sure.
yeah, in generally, that assignment is only for to override the native behavior. That is correct thing you did. So that, but there's
Yeah,
also if you're, let's do this. You have configured this thing for let's say for account record, right? So
yeah,
use one account ID and copy paste the account ID after .com or after your community name. It should open the same OmniScript. If it is working fine, that means you have configured it correctly. But if
okay.
you have not override this thing correctly, then it will show the Lightning UI, not the this OS UI.
Then I think right now I did with the help of Visual Force page. So I think then it's not right now. If I surface the account ID, it opens the Lightning page itself. It's not showing the
Right,
overrated
right.
page.
Yeah. So
Mm.
let's do one thing. Let me schedule a call for discuss the assignments. Let me also give you an example. You need to go to the community and you need to create a page for it, right?
I did
Account
that.
detail page.
Yeah, yeah.
And there you need to drag the VF page and then you need to activate it. The moment you
Mhm.
activate it, it will automatically override all the account detail pages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So same thing I did. I think I can. If we have 5 minutes, I can show that.
Yeah. Just share the screen.
Yeah, sure. Yep. It's yeah. Then I just created one community, velocity experiments, something like this. Then I yeah. So yeah, so now I went here onto the account, then yeah, account here. Yes.
I think you need to search the name. Okay, that's a tab.
Yeah, so here we have a record list. Then
Mhm.
it displays. Okay, so here under account list, account related list, I should have one more page. Yeah, account detail.
On detail, yeah.
Yeah. So here, what I did, like I surfaced the one page, Visual Force page. Yeah. Yeah. See, this is the Visual Force page. It's account view button override. So that's a Visual Force page I created. So inside the Visual Force page, it's taking the record ID, and I'll open that Visual Force page too. Should
In that
open.
case, it should overwrite your default uh, page also. I mean, if you try to directly hit any URL
Yeah.
in the community, then it should work because you have override the default account detail page.
Yes. Account record detail. No, it's not account. It's a yeah account view button override. So in this Visual Force page, I just did this. It's a standard controller. Then do this. Then take the take the account ID from the this is the OmniScript.
Mhm.
Sorry, the Apex account record detail page we are navigating. On that, we are passing the account ID as a parameter. Account record detail is the OmniScript we created. For that, passing the account ID as the parameter. So
Mm.
this we are on page load of this overview. Sorry, the override. We should account view button override. We are calling this OmniScript. For that, we are passing the account ID say input. Then it just renders. It's supposed to render the render the page
Hmm.
detail page for us. That's what I expected.
Right.
But
So if you go to the back to the Lightning, sorry, OmniScript, they will
yeah.
already create one view page for you, right? The code is already there. What if we use that? Have you tried that?
No, I didn't get that option. That's the one thing I searched initially. Then I didn't get that option. So that's the reason I went for the custom Visual Force page. Let me check it. So here, OmniScript, then account record detail. It's yeah, this is the active version. Hmm. So here, just kept on data raptor to get the get the account detail. Here, just pass. This is the ID I kept, account ID, as an input parameter, and this will give us the account detail and just renders this. So in order to get the VF of this, what should I do?
Yeah, let me actually search this also. But what I think is we need to use the same view page that it is generating through the launcher. And there we need to provide the account ID directly.
How to launch? Okay, yeah. So we got this copy to clipboard. Yeah, here we have a code. So here I'm not sure where to fit that ID. So here
Yeah,
if
let
I
me.
so it just like looks like an app. Then yeah, it's a component. So within this it renders. So yeah.
I think here if you directly give the name of the URL, sorry, the name of account ID, and then I think it should work. Just
Uh,
like script layout, it is like written lightning. Just hit enter and directly add the name of the record that you have created, name of the parameter.
Script layout lightning. Okay, then you mean something like this account ID, account
Yeah,
ID. Yes. Then within double quote, no, yeah, within double quote, something like this.
yeah. Current page params, something
Yeah,
this.
Yes, I remember. There is one code to get the ID. Yeah, something like current page dot ID or something. Yeah, something like this. I know this. We have an option to get the current record ID. Yes.
Right. So try this. If it is not working, then let me know. I will check how I use it in the code.
Yeah, sure. This is the one actually I missed actually. So that's the reason why I went for the workaround. Just create a VF, get the ID, and use this as a parameter URL.
Mhm.
I mean via URL. That's the reason I went for this. I'll try this option. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Then yeah. Then the other one went well actually. The other account search able to render as a separate tab. So that something went well. So I didn't face any challenge there. But this was the one. Yeah. Then one more question. Somewhere we need to show the lookup field right on the say like on the script. For example, when we are showing the owner ID, we need to show it as a lookup field, not as a text. So if
Right.
that
So
is yeah,
right, there's an option. We haven't reached to that point, like
yeah,
how we show pick lists.
yeah,
We have also an option where we can actually show the lookup fields.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that we will discuss.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So yeah,
All right.
as of now, right now, those are the questions I have. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. Let's meet tomorrow and discuss the further topics.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, please check the HTTP requests. Okay, it
Yeah,
will be good. Yeah. Okay, guys. Thanks. Thanks for joining.
thank you.
Let's. Yeah. Thanks.
Have a nice day. Bye.
Next day. Bye.